I got a great question from one of my clients today, and I figured I would answer it publicly because this is something that I quite enjoy talking about. It's about talent, and I guess the title of my video would be, I don't really believe in talent. So let's get into what I think the elements are that we tend to call talent or being gifted, where those elements really come from, the fact that most of them are developable skills, not something that we're inherently born with. What are we inherently born with? And what I actually personally think about talent. So this person is a singer, a local singer-songwriter who performs. And one thing that they said was, Ariana Grande isn't achievable for most people. So the comparison to a big singer who is clearly very, renowned for their vocal craft, dexterity, ability. So the question was like, I want to ask about talent, and this person is wondering what they're actually capable of learning and what they're not capable of learning. Is it a matter of learning what your strengths are? For example, someone might know that they are better at long distance running, not a sprinter. And maybe there are some things I can learn with my voice that will be my strengths, or maybe there are things that might not be worth investing your time in, which I think is where this question comes from, because I get this question quite a lot. There's some variation on how far can I really go? Like, what do you think my potential is? What will it take to get better or to get good? And I always like to prompt people like, what do you mean by good? Because that's going to be a really different definition from person to person. But let's talk about talent. So I don't believe that talent is really a thing in the way that culturally we tend to conceive of it, which is people come into this world and they are naturally gifted with some innate ability to be an amazing musician, artist, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe in that. I was thinking about this, and I think I would separate it into 4 different elements, 4 different kinds of ability that I think we tend to call talent as a whole. And each person, it's a little bit taste-based, so each person is going to value different elements more highly or less highly. But those elements might include, let's say in the context of a singer or a musician, musicality, technical proficiency on your instrument. So for a singer, that would be the voice. For a guitarist, it would be on the guitar, etc. Artistry, so like a unique creative expression ability. And performance. So if you're a performer, then you have some, like, performance is its own skill, your stage presence and the way that you connect with an audience. So of these elements, some of them are a little bit more inherent, potentially you can be born with, than others. So for example, musicality is something that exists on a spectrum. So down one end of the spectrum, you might have people who are completely tone deaf, which is really rare. It's a neurological condition called amusia. So being tone deaf is very rare. If you have no sense of rhythm, also quite rare. When people come to me and they say they might be tone deaf or they have no sense of rhythm, what that really means is they don't know how to control their voice in order to hit certain pitches. So they tend to be a bit out of tune when they're singing, not the same thing as being tone deaf. Or, if you just don't have that much experience in singing or in engaging with rhythm, then you're going to think of yourself as bad at those things, but you're actually just inexperienced. But we do have a scale of musicality from people with genuine amusia to people who are like musical genius level brains, and that's going to be the oral musical part of the brain. So I think about, as an example of a genius type person, I think about Jacob Collier, for example, who can tap a rhythm, a different time signature with each finger of one hand. Like he can be doing 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, and 5/4 at the same time, which is completely bonkers for most of us. And he has perfect pitch and that kind of thing. But to be clear, he didn't come out of the womb knowing how to tap a different tempo with each finger of one hand at the same time. That was a skill that he had to learn how tempos worked, and he had to learn how, tempo is the wrong word there. Time signatures, thank you. He had to learn how all that worked and practice doing that to then be able to have that skill. So musicality is something that you can develop. It is something that we do tend to kind of come into this world seemingly. Some people have more of a natural aptitude for musicality, but it is also something that you can develop and work on, because there are ear training apps where you can improve your sense of pitch and your sense of rhythm and your rhythm and pitch reading abilities, for example. So musicality is something that we do have an inherent aptitude for somewhere on that spectrum, and most of us will be somewhere in the middle. I do not have perfect pitch. I cannot just sing a B if you ask me to sing a B. And I'm very bad at reading music. It's not something that I've spent a lot of time doing, so it's not a skill that I have developed. But musicality is something that you can develop as well. So musicality. One of the other ones was, let's go backwards actually. So performance. Performance is its own skill that you can develop, and that also some people seem to have more of an aptitude for. Some kids, like someone that I will point no fingers at, come, at the age of 2, were taken to see Play School Live and just jumped up on the stage because they were so desperate to be on stage, feeling like, I'm a performer, this is what I do. But someone can also be someone who's a really amazing musician who doesn't have so much of like a sense of a natural performing ability, but develops that as a skill in order to be able to perform their music and do well doing that. Again, musicality and like performance are both things that I believe that we come into this world with some sense of an aptitude for, but can also be developed as skills and worked on and developed and improved. Musicality, performance, artistry, like creative expression, and particularly I would say what's really valuable is having a unique kind of artistry and creative expression. And again, something that perhaps some people have more of a natural aptitude for, but can also be developed. You kind of learn you have your creative influences, you study your heroes, you emulate to begin with, and then you start to develop your own unique voice. And this is going to be the same in any kind of art, not just music and not just singing. And then music, artistry, performance, and the technical ability on your chosen instrument. So this is where it's really interesting to me as a vocal coach, because people come and they want to know, like, how good am I? How much potential do I have? How much energy should I devote to this? And this is 100% this is not something that anybody is born being able to. Nobody is born knowing how to play guitar. Every human, I would argue, is born being able to sing. But culturally, in the culture that I grew up in, we don't surround ourselves with music and singing. We don't have community and family singing and musical experiences. So it's more unfamiliar to us. It's more of a bit of a foreign language that we have to learn a little bit. But anyone can develop their voice and can develop vocal skills and skills in the craft of an instrument. If you have, that musicality aptitude, it might make some of the elements of that a little bit easier. But again, anybody, it depends how much you want it and how much time and energy you want to dedicate to it, and where you want to end up and what your intentions are, like why you have the particular goal that you have. I think that's a really key thing, to be clear on your why. Why would you want to do this? What are you actually wanting to get out of it? So let's go back to the example of Ariana Grande. She did not come out of the womb being able to do like all those crazy riffs and runs and melismas and high belting notes and all this kind of stuff. All of that is because she's worked really hard and practiced a lot. So what I actually think talent is, or being gifted, the gift that some people come into this world with, and I again hesitate to start talking about this because I think a lot of people use the idea of the gifted genius and talent as an excuse to not engage with creative stuff. And I just want to emphasize again, all human beings are singers. All human beings are singers. All human beings are dancers. These are inherently natural human being things to do. And if you want to do it, you should do it. And everybody's creative and everybody can make art and everybody should do all those things and feel welcome to do those things. But I do think that there are some people for whom being an artist is a calling, or being a musician or a performer is a calling. It's what you deeply in your soul really want to do with your life and give to this life. And I think that what it is to be gifted or talented, the gift that you've been given is your passion for that thing. So the reason that Ariana Grande is so good at her vocal skills is because she's really into it. She's really passionate about having a life that is the life that she's created as a singer, as an artist, as a performer. So she's worked really hard because she's obsessed with it. And so she has gotten to her level of technical ability and technical proficiency with her craft, with her instrument, because she has worked so hard and practiced so many hours. So what I think is the gift is the passion that you have for doing the thing that then makes you devote a lot of hours to practicing the thing, to develop those technical skills, to develop that musicality, to develop that creative expression, to develop the performance ability. So all the elements can be worked on and can be developed in any human being, no matter who they are and no matter at what point they start from. It does give you an advantage if you are born with a really high level of inherent musicality, or some kind of stage presence, little X factor thing. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have that, you're excluded from that and you're never going to get past a certain point. I am reliably informed by my mother that I was singing before I could talk, but I wasn't good. I wasn't technically proficient at using my vocal instrument, but I was lying in my cot going, exploring my voice, making sounds. And that began developing that relationship with my instrument, noticing what kind of sounds create what kind of physical sensations and vice versa, how it feels to make certain sounds. And I continued to never shut up after that point. So that is a lot of hours of vocal practice, exploration, making sounds, just trying stuff, seeing what happens. And then I've also had the advantage of taking lessons and learning specific techniques, which, if I wanted to, for example, belting is something that I always found very difficult, all the way through my degree in voice and all my years of singing lessons. That was a sound that I didn't feel like I had access to until after I finished my degree. I had some lessons where I learned specifically some kinds of cues and ways to explore making sound, and specific technical exercises to help me find that sound, and then I could do it instantly. And that's the thing about learning technique with an approach that works for you, and knowing specifically, okay, if you want to make this kind of sound, here's an exercise or a cue that tends to help you make that sound. Now that can change everything and give you access to that sound straight away. But it doesn't necessarily feel easy physically or mentally. You've got to kind of concentrate to maintain that thing because it's new. It's a new setting. It's a new kind of movement. Just like learning a new dance move, you're going to have to do it slowly first, and then you're going to have to repeat and repeat and repeat and practice until it becomes something that is more automatic and that you feel comfortable with and is more easy to produce. So, musicality, artistry, creative expression, and performance as its own skill. I think they are things that some people have a little bit more natural aptitude than others, but they are also all things that you can learn, develop, train, improve your skill at. And then technical proficiency on your instrument, which is really what I catch most people describing as talent, is if you are a skilled singer, if you have technical proficiency, you can do this, this, and this with your voice, then people will say you're talented. And that has nothing to do with talent. That has to do with spending a lot of hours practicing the specific things that get you the sounds you're wanting to produce. So please don't use the idea of talent as an excuse for not working on things that bring you joy, basically. Whether you want to become a performer or whether you just want to sing in your bedroom for your own enjoyment, singing is a skill that you can develop and learn and get better at no matter who you are and no matter where you're starting from. And Ariana Grande may not be an achievable goal for most people, But most people don't want to be Ariana Grande. So think about why you are doing this, what you actually want to get out of it, what skills you need to develop in order to express yourself in the way that you want to express yourself and have the kind of life with music woven into it in the way that is going to be really nourishing for you and to enact your gift in the world. And that's the last thing I want to say about talent and having a gift, being gifted. The gift, as I've said, is the passion and the drive and the love for the thing that makes you want to do the thing over and over and over so that you do get better at it. But also the gift is not something that you've been given, it is, but also it's something that you give to the world. So if you're gifted with the love for music, that's something that you then get to give to the world. You get to receive that gift, use it to generate development and learning and creation, and then give that gift back to the world as a performer. So you can disagree with me about this. If you have different thoughts about what talent and being gifted is, please feel free to drop them in the comments.